Hey, what's up gamers? So in this video, we're going to be going over a complete Gardevoir guide, all her base stats, what all her attacks do, all the damage, good situations, best items, blah, blah, blah. So I hope you all enjoy, and without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off, Gardevoir is extremely frail and a ranged attacker Pokemon. So when I say frail, I mean like she just has super low defenses. And you might also hear the term squishy be used to describe a character with low defenses. Here you can see all her base stats without items, which don't actually seem that bad, but next to let's say like a Snorlax, the difference is pretty noticeable. Don't worry too much about that because there are a few really good Pokemon that are just as frail or squishy as Gardevoir, for example Pikachu, Ninetales, and Venusaur. Two of which, being Pikachu and Ninetales, are considered high tier if not top tier by a good amount of people. Since Gardevoir can't take a lot of hits, she has moves like Moonblast and Psychic that allow her to slow and stun enemies in order to escape disadvantaged situations, but we're going to go over that and the specifics of those two moves in a little bit. On top of that though, her basic attack at level 15 does a standard 334 damage, which doesn't seem like much, but the boosted hit of the basic attack does an entire 874 damage. And just to compare, here is Cinderace, one of the best attackers in the game so far, and his basic attack stat. So Ralts, Kirlia, Gardevoir, they all have a basic attack that has 3 hits to it. The standard basic attack is the first and second hit. These are also the physical type of attacks. The boosted basic attack is the third hit and is a special type attack. At level 1, the standard hit of Ralts' basic attack does 134 damage, and the third hit, which is the boosted version of this attack, does 202 base damage. And when I say base damage, I mean without the help of any items that may increase special attack or any stat for that matter. I'll also put the damage calcs on the screen for Kirlia and Gardevoir's basic attack damage at level 6 and level 10. Around level 6 is where Rotom and Dreadnought spawn, and around level 10 is when Zapdos spawn if you're not able to do a lot of farming by then. Alright, so next let's talk about the 2 special moves you start out with at level 1, which are Teleport and Confusion. So when you first spawn in the game, with 10 minutes left on the timer, Ralts at level 1 has access to Confusion as its special 1 move and Teleport for the special 2 move. Confusion is a straightforward moving attack and it just deals 286 damage at level 1 and then 527 damage at level 6, which is the level before Confusion is then swapped over to a new move. Now Teleport is basically a blink with an 11-second cooldown. Blink meaning like the character is able to instantly move to a target or location. For example, when you use a eject button, you blink. It's a blink item. You can also teleport through walls, which is nice. At level 6, when Ralts then evolves into Kirlia, her special 2 move can be swapped to either Psyshock or Future Sight. Psyshock attacks with 3 hits at any designated location within the user's target ring and has a cooldown of 11 seconds. The move's cooldown is reduced each time one of these attacks hit a target Pokemon. This is pretty mean, but the base damage for each hit of Psyshock at level 6 does 666 damage, dealing upwards of 1,998 damage if all 3 hits of Psyshock actually hit a Pokemon. At level 12, Psyshock actually gets an upgrade where the move does increase damage for each attack that hits a Pokemon. And what's really cool about Psyshock is every hit that actually lands or does deal damage to a target, Psyshock's cooldown is decreased by 2 seconds, bringing it from like a whole 11-second cooldown all the way to a 5-second cooldown if all 3 hits do connect. So the second special 2 move is Future Sight, which sets a delayed explosion and has a reduced cooldown from 11 seconds to 4 seconds if the explosion actually hits a Pokemon. At level 6, Future Sight does 1,283 damage, and at level 15, Future Sight does 2,665 damage. At level 12, Future Sight gets an upgrade that completely resets the move's cooldown when the explosion hits a Pokemon. At level 8, Kirlia gets access to either Psychic or Moonblast in the special 1 slot. Psychic is a straightforward shot which deals damage on impact with a Pokemon or when landing at its target destination, and then creates a circle which deals 5 hits of damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect, also known as AoE, while also decreasing their movement speed for a short time. At level 8, the first initial hit of Psychic does 642 damage. The circle then deals 5 hits of 62 damage in a 2-second period. At level 15, the first initial hit of Psychic deals 1,239 damage and 120 damage for the next 5 hits, doing an overall 1,839 points of damage. Psychic has a cooldown of 7 seconds and is reduced to 5 seconds when upgraded at level 14, and this move does not like chase or follow. The second special one move is Moonblast, which has the user attack while moving back to create distance. So when the move's blast hits, it deals damage to opposing Pokemon and stuns opposing Pokemon closest to the user for 1.1 seconds, similar to Snorlax's 1 second stun from Heavy Slam. Moonblast's cooldown is 6 seconds, and at level 8, Moonblast does 703 damage, and at level 15, it does 1,359 damage. At level 14, Moonblast gets an upgrade which grants the user a shield when the move is used. Alright, now for the friggin' epic Unite move. At level 10, Gardevoir gets access to her Unite move, Fairy Singularity, which reads as warp space in the designated area, drawing in opposing Pokemon. Shoves and deals damage to opposing Pokemon the instant the warp space disappears. So like basically what this means is Gardevoir shoots a freaking vortex onto the field, which can be placed anywhere within her targeting ring of her Unite move, and then once the vortex is placed, it does a sort of like suction black hole effect that draws enemies into it and deals 5 hits of damage over a 1.2 second period before then just like completely disappears. At level 10, the first 4 hits of Fairy Singularity, the Unite move, deals 393 damage, and then the 5th and final hit deals 787 damage, which adds up to a total of 2,359 damage dealt. Now that we went over all the moves, let's talk about like which moves are actually better to run versus one another. And a big factor to actually consider when comparing moves is the role Gardevoir is playing. So in an optimal team composition, Gardevoir is likely to run top lane or bottom lane, since her range and DPS make her a decently good character to get early kills and farm to prevent the enemy team from, scoring in either lane while your jungler is, jungling, leveling up. So since we get access to Psyshock and Future Sight first, we're just going to compare these two, and then we'll go on to Moonblast versus Psychic. Psyshock's max damage at level 6 is 1,998, while Future Sight does 1,283 points of damage. And if each move hits, Psyshock's cooldown is 5 seconds, while Future Sight's cooldown is only 4 seconds. So that's like a, 1 second difference. Quick math. That means every 8 seconds, Future Sight has the opportunity to do 2,566 points of damage, while every 10 seconds, Psyshock can do 3,996 damage. Since each one of 3 hits of Psyshock does 666 points of damage, even if one hit of Psyshock misses, you're still doing more damage than Future Sight. Pretty epic. So to take this further, I did an epic gamer test and I ran Psyshock and Future Sight against Dreadnought and Rotom to see which move I can like KO each of them faster with. So Dreadnought kept stunning me and doing Dreadnought stuff, and I also had invincibility on for this test, so don't take these, results as real case scenarios. But to take lightly for the video, it seems I was able to just, beat up Dreadnought and Rotom with Psyshock a bit more fast, but I don't believe this test alone makes one move better than the other. So with that said, I like the AoE effect of Future Sight for farming, but I also like the set point of target Psyshock does damage to a bit more for like early game to late game farming on Audino, Combi, Vespiquen, and whoever else. So I likely run Psyshock over Future Sight, but obviously like I recommend doing your own experimenting and see which move you prefer more. Okay, so next up we got Psychic versus Moonblast, which we're gonna test at level 8 since that's when we first get access to choose either of those moves. And on paper it's obvious Psychic deals a bit more damage and may be the likely pick for the most amount of damage per second, but what really makes the deciding factor here is the secondary effects of each. You gotta keep in mind we're running Psyshock or Future Sight too. So Psychic slows while Moonblast stuns, and you might think like, okay, like what's the difference? Psychic does more damage, and slowing and killing are better than stunning and losing a kill, but it's definitely more important to remember our goal. It's not to let the enemy team score more points than us. When an enemy kills you, they earn a decent amount of XP, and the more XP a player earns, the faster they level up, right? And the faster they become more powerful on top of their own wild Pokemon farming, the easier it is for them to KO you and for them to score and win their fights, especially considering late game Zapdos. Okay, so nonetheless, I tested Moonblast and Psychic against a Snorlax that really wanted me dead, and I found I was able to escape a lot more consistently when using the stun from Moonblast as opposed to the slow from Psychic. Gardevoir is so frail, even though the extra 187 points of damage looks better on paper, it's pretty unlikely that Psychic will be more efficient at evading an enemy or potentially comboing them with another special move for a KO versus Moonblast. Moonblast, especially against characters like Snorlax who literally have like a teleport blink type move like Heavy Slam or Gengar Sludge, right? So personally, I'll be running Moonblast for more bait and punish style, as Gardevoir is just way too frail to not be equipped with a good stun like Moonblast is. Also to mention, Psychic has a cooldown of 7 seconds before the level 14 upgrade, while Moonblast's cooldown is only 6 seconds. So yeah, you know, like that sounds meme, only 1 second difference, but honestly, it does make a huge difference in a freaking 10-minute MOBA game like Pokemon Unite where every second counts. Okay, so now that we discussed every move potential, let's talk about items. Since this is day 1 that I'm filming this, and buying items without spending real money is a bit of a grind, I'll only be telling you recommendations, but I strongly advise you check out our Discord channel and other resources for Pokemon builds down in the description below. Gardevoir is a special attacker and a frail one at that, so I think Shell Bell is an amazing item since it recovers a minimum of 60 HP, which raises in value the higher a Pokemon special attack stat is. And since we're talking so much about special attack, the next decent item I'd recommend is Wise Glasses, which increases special attack by 5% and is an amazing pair with Shell Bell. They just go hand in hand so well. Since Shell Bell works more the higher the special attack, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. For the third item slot, I'm pretty mixed up between like the Float Stone, which increases a Pokemon's speed when not in battle, and the special attack specs, which raise a Pokemon's special attack when a goal is scored. And the last thing I wanted to quickly cover was Gardevoir's playstyle. So she's pretty frail and she has range. Just like Ninetales and other ranged characters, you want to be weaving in and out of your opponent's view, doing chip damage and mainly farming your wild Pokemon spawns early game. There are so many situational factors, it's ridiculous, but I wouldn't recommend considering to push with Gardevoir until Rotom spawns and your jungler can help you out in either lane. But again, it's so situational, right? Just play her safe and take your time. With any character, you want to make sure you're as high of a level as you can be to prevent your opponents from scoring, which may be a situation that, you know, results in a KO, which is awesome. And it's always nice, but it's definitely not something that anyone should overcommit in a disadvantaged situation for. You shouldn't chase, you know, 3 Pokemon that are low health right next to their goal, because they're just going to heal up in that goal and kill you, even if you are high health, because they're just going to restore health. And it's just a really bad disadvantaged situation that you're feeding and giving them XP for, that you don't have to commit to. There will be games where the enemy team throws and you drop a 30 bomb and you're the craziest Gardevoir in the world, and then there's going to be games where your teammates aren't that helpful or good of teammates. Maybe they don't know the game, maybe they're trolling, but it happens. So just play patiently, have fun, and you'll definitely be fine. So with that said, I hope you gamers enjoyed. Let me know how you like this guide, if you want me to do other ones, and leave a like if you did enjoy, because it helps a ton, and I'll see you on the next video soon.